mentally feel like Kobe, I'm like Jokic with the rock. You physically couldn't hold me, I don't care if you pushing 40. You can never little bro me. Euro step like Ginobili, from young OG to the OG. From nosebleeds to floor seats, circle stronger than Cuban links. My gold dance, your gold plated. You verse me, now that's a reach. We ready? Who ready?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the One-on-One Sports Show here on the Black Man Unfiltered Network. I'm Mr. Bennett with my Gen X OG. The coach is in the building tonight, waiting for the other fellas to show up in the space. But good to have you here on this Wednesday evening, as there's a lot going on in the world of sports. I know we had certainly a very lively debate last week, concerning the NBA playoffs and the idea with the whole thing with Shedeur Sanders, which is, as you see on our show banner. So again, we're going to, certainly give the opportunity to, kind of hash that out a little bit more as you come in tonight. But we're going to ask that certainly as you come in tonight, make sure, again, hit the like button, consider a Cash App to the Black Man Unfiltered Network, and also our Cash App scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Certainly we appreciate any support that you give us, but just make sure you hit that like button on the way in. But certainly as we wait for the rest of our group to come in tonight, lots of things that are going on as we speak. And so, we certainly want to get into it, but I want to ask the coach. In fact, I may start this topic with you as we wait here, since you're the Kentuckian here. So first of all, how are you doing tonight, sir?
What's up, Brother Ben? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, loud and clear.
Let me ask you this. Do you hear background noise? Do you hear any noise other than just a humming?
Not offhand. No, I'm not hearing anything now. Chad, just let us know if everything's sounding good on there. So if you're hearing something, just let us know. Put a 1 in the chat or a comment.
Somebody cutting the grass. My wife.
Okay.
On the treadmill. So
you sound good. Sound good.
Right, cool.
Sound good. But let me start with you. I was going to put this as a side note. Now I know we talked about, since you from Kentucky, so you have familiarity with the Kentucky Derby. Certainly that was run this past weekend. And, certainly it was, certainly kind of rainy, kind of muddy event there. So I don't know if it was necessarily would have been the best atmosphere just to be in, just due to the weather. But I know it's a high end, it's a social event. And it's one of the major races of the Triple Crown calendar. And one thing I was seeing that the owner of the horse that won the race is actually pulling his horse out of the Preakness. And foregoing that, trying to extend the career. Now, this sounds a lot to me kind of like load management from my point of view. I mean, so I'm asking, is the era of the Triple Crown over, where, we would certainly look forward year after year to see if there was a horse going to be in it, but is the philosophy, in your view, changing regarding horse racing, where folks are worried about extending the life and therefore the purse winnings of the horse, rather than trying to tackle that elusive record? I remember it was, for a long time, you had Seattle Affirmed, who won in 78, and then Seattle Slew, right, 77 and 78. And then you had this long drought where you didn't have a Triple Crown winner until 2015, and you had another one in 2018, and now we're 7 years removed from that. But just, from the landscape, do you think, it's the pursuit of the Triple Crown? Is that going to be something that I think, you're going to see other trainers just decide, they just want to, make as much money as they can in the sport and not pursue that? Is that can we stop, looking forward to that? Or you think it's just this particular situation?
No, it's just a money game, man. Horses is a money game. You can buy a racehorse for $2,000. You can buy one for $2 million. If you have the right training, the right, conditions, if you can find a track and race it, find somebody black or any race that weigh 98 pounds that can ride a horse, you could be the Triple Crown winner. It's all about money, man.
Yeah, and Secretary certainly won it back in '73. That's today's day. That might be the most dominant run.
That's the fastest time, and still no horse beat it.
That horse was on something. They talking about that the heart of Secretariat was like twice as big as some other horses. It had some crazy.
But Secretariat was cool. But Barbera, he would have won it too, but he broke his leg. He was on it. He was on it. But as far as this Triple Crown, it's a wine and cheese crowd. You can bet
Oh, for
some.
sure. Oh yeah. They've definitely livened it. They've definitely made it, like I said, a high end social event. I think Aaron Rodgers was there over the weekend, and so
Oh, it's
it's a
gotten bigger. When I was young, a lot of celebrities wasn't coming. Over the years, it's gotten bigger and
now
bigger.
they've made now it's definitely
Jordan
the
was there. It's the greatest. If you want to have fun for 6 hours, and you can fly in and fly out, and get your room one night,
Yeah.
and Derby's it.
Yeah, no question. And it was certainly something looking forward to on Saturday afternoons. You would watch it. And then again, that just locked you in for the rest of it, especially depending on how the horse ran,
And see,
you would be
brother,
looking forward to it. Yeah.
but just based off the weather, you see the weather, right? You see how
Yeah,
it
no,
was.
no,
Hold on, hold on, hold on.
yeah.
It rained all weekend, right?
Right.
That's why, as a youngster, I didn't go to the Derby a lot because you could be out there in your little nice outfit trying to look cute, then it just thunderstorm and muddy, and I ain't with that. So,
Very true.
if you like, I love horses, man. I've been around them, what I'm saying, all my life. But yeah, as far as going to the Derby, it's a great event, man. But you should come to it, man. You see how
Nah,
it is,
it's
man.
definitely sort of bucket list. I mean, I should go. I mean, obviously, I should go to the Belmont because that's closest to me. I'm in the New York, New Jersey area, so that's
Oh
definitely
yeah,
one.
you ain't been to the Belmont?
I haven't been to the Belmont.
Uh,
I had so
See, you just like me then. It's somewhere close. It's like,
yeah. But it's definitely it's certainly it used to be something that got the national interest, and you had these horses they go in with two, then you get to the Belmont, and then things wouldn't work out. So but it was one of those things that just captured the national interest, and it did so for about 100 years. That was like the biggest event outside of boxing or World Series or something like that. 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. Everybody looked forward to that.
so which one is the longest, the Belmont or the
The
Premium?
Belmont, yeah,
Yeah, the
that's a
Belmont
mile
is
and a
the
half.
last one.
Everyone
Yeah.
else is it's like a mile and a quarter.
Y'all think it's the mile and a quarter? Then it's a mile and the Derby is a little longer than a mile. It's just over a mile,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah,
So
it's like a sprint.
a
That's
mile
why.
and a half, a mile and
Yeah.
a quarter. It goes up.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, just the way that Secretariat won it. I mean, it was over like 30 seconds into the race. It was over,
Yeah,
and then it was like 40, and we're like 40,
like
40
20 links.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's
Just
like
so what a link is, so people don't know, it's those little bars that be between on the inside rail. Each little thing they call it a link. So they just count those links in between.
Yeah,
That's how they
yeah,
measure it out. So
but there's never been in 50 years, and there's never been a more dominant sense. But when I started hearing about the heart and all that, I'm just saying, Secretary might have been on some, or he's just a freakish once in a lifetime horse or whatever. But I never seen anybody. And again, you had other famous horses and whatnot, but that one
that's
in
what they're
particular
trying to
was
make
like,
it, because for a long time horses was on drugs though.
yeah. So I'm thinking he might have been, well, in the 70s, just like bodybuilding, like nobody even regulated that stuff back then. I think, once you got to the 80s and 90s, now everything got, testing, and just like all other sports, things got a lot more regulated down the line. So he might have been one that got through there. But for everything I understand, it was just a freakish horse, like just the body and everything. It was almost like you playing Shaq versus just an average player or something like that. He was that dominant back then.
Really quick, in reference to some news on I guess on the statewide front or whatever. Bob Baffert, one of the trainers, he was suspended for 3 years, and they took him to court, and then they dropped it, and they found it. This was his first race back since, because he man. But he was one that also was dipping and dabbling in those.
Oh yeah.
investments.
Yeah, he was like the Balco of horses. I mean,
Yeah, they ain't do nothing. They ain't do nothing though. He still
Yeah,
got. Well, he
yeah.
had 2 horses in the Derby.
yeah. But I
Crazy.
mean, he was definitely and again, he had some swag to him. Also, it was almost like he kind of had this sort of Teflon quality to him. It was like, yeah, you can't touch me or whatever. So yeah, he was a very charismatic guy. Because, jockeys and whatnot, they're not really going to get it for you. But it's like the owners sometimes and some of the personalities.
The trainers are the
person.
personality. The owners be laid back. The trainers is what they always highlight. Those
Yeah.
guys that, the trainers, they have the flamboyancy in those guys.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
the owners, they be laid back, man. It was a whole lady. She was
Right.
probably about 97. They didn't even show her picture.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's definitely some generational stuff with that as well. They passed them farms and those that horse town over, but we're going to get into it tonight. So again, we start off the banner with, and we were kind of contemplating this before the show. Obviously, we spent a lot of time the second half of the show last week talking about the draft and with Shedeur Sanders. So you had opinions sort of across the board in terms of the people's views on it. Was it an agenda by the NFL? Was it Shedeur's attitude and whatnot? And as I said, I think all of that could certainly be in play when you talk about it. But I mean, people just take these things to extremes, and I'm just shocked that the news would even cover this stuff. I saw this article. It was actually in a couple different places that actually you got a fan who's seeking $100 million in damages from the NFL draft. And the guy says here, citing his name is John Doe, saying that the father complained with the NFL that the actions of dissemination of slanderous statements have caused severe emotional stress and trauma. I mean, this is USA Today that would even pick this up. So, I mean, I'm thinking people are just way over the line with just some of the reactions here. I mean, certainly he's, I think he has an opportunity in Cleveland. Certainly the deed is done. Now it's up to him. And I think just based on who they have there, they got a grandfather playing in the NFL. They got the guy who can't stay healthy playing in the NFL. They got a couple of a guy we had in Pittsburgh who is average at best. So he has every opportunity, I think, to certainly win out. Certainly a starting job or compete for that role. So if he can pull that off, then I think a lot of this stuff will be done with. But just from your point of view, did you think this just simply personal that they have an axe to grind against Deion himself? Do you think how much if you're going to do a percentage like rate this, how much of it was his lack of talent, how much of it was on him in terms of how he performed, how much was on Deion? If you were going to do like a breakdown percentage. If any of those things factored in more so than another, what would you put on that? And then we'll move on to the NBA and the other things that are going on.
As far as, Shedeur himself, it would be 100% based off his dad.
Interesting.
Because his talents on the field succeed this whole entire draft. And you can go look at the draft before. With Williams. Outside of Williams, Shedeur still would be second. So this, and it could be him too, just because he's flashy. He's taking on a little of the brash. He ain't nowhere near as flashy as his father. He showed his wrist a watch. His NIL makes $3 million, $5, $6 million. So. But it just makes no sense. If anybody know how to play football and throw, he's one of the best. He's accurate. That's all you need. If he can read defenses, he'll be a star, just like Patrick Mahomes, because he know how to run. I'll compare him. If he stays on trajectory, he can be close to Patrick. Patrick
put on some weight though.
He gonna put on some weight. I ain't worried about that. NFL get you ready, NFL ready. But if he can throw the ball accurately, he'll be all right, But yeah, his son, his father, it makes no sense to me. So, but this fan that you just showed this article, man, let me say this, man. This is some bullshit, man.
Yeah,
this is what I'm saying, man.
Why even a major news outlet would even cover that?
We comment about our athletes and we go good, bad, ugly, whatever. But when they come with this bullshit, man, we got to call this shit out, man. It's some bullshit. It makes no sense, man.
So he'll never be on par.
You
with
never
Mahomes.
know.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes you didn't know he was Patrick Mahomes till he was Patrick Mahomes. So give him a shot. If he can read defenses and throw the ball, that's all that counts. He's a quarterback.
Yeah, but that's a huge measure to come out. But before we go on, what's going on, Shawnee? How you doing, sir?
What's going on, fellas? I'm assuming y'all probably talking about the fan with the
unbelievable. I mean, it's like, man, but I'm like I said, I'm more surprised that the press would actually cover it more so than the fan who filed the lawsuit. So I mean, it's just ridiculous. But if folks want to revisit that later, we can certainly touch on it. But we definitely want to give people a space, because I know that the conversation really got into it last week, and there was a lot of people who were looking to get on, and we didn't have an opportunity to. So we wanted to kind of open up. So, right, we wanted to open up to give people a space if they wanted to get their 2 cents in. I think Trey, I think he might have left a little bit early for the show, but certainly shout out to CJ. $5 Watson on IRL. till December.
Yeah.
Flacco is AARP eligible.
Boy,
Pickett
there you
has
go.
arm accuracy and a
CJ.
family
Told
of
you,
dollar
boy.
pregnancy
CJ knows.
tests. And Gabrielle Sanders will be QB. It's trash.
Yeah.
Sanders will. Yeah, he has every opportunity there because I think Cleveland, they still don't know what they're doing over there, and you just hope that he can pull it off. I mean, certainly, I think they did do well just in the draft as far as setting themselves up for next year. I think they're going to have some
Listen,
excellent.
Flacco's there for the locker room. He's the old guy. He can get you 2 wins. Flacco's there for the locker room. The other guys, the
Yeah.
young guys, go out to compete for the job. Pickett,
Yeah,
he ain't no good.
Nah,
he
I
shouldn't
couldn't-
even be. He shouldn't even be on the roster for real.
yeah, for sure. Trey putting in early. If the Flacco will be week 1 starter, that would be amazing. Yeah, if that.
Wow.
Sanders not going to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback in his rookie season.
Oh no, of course not.
But
If he go 500, he's good. What you
yeah.
talking about?
Yeah. All right. Let's get started. Obviously, we've had a wacky NBA. We were right in the heat of it as we went on. So just wanted to just show us the brackets, and I tell you, this was a week or weekend of theft. In that you had all of the top seeds, the home teams, all of them. This is the first time in NBA history that when you get to the conference semifinals and all of the home teams lost the opening game to get in. So again, very surprising across the board. But before we get too headlong into this, and again, last time I checked, Celtics again they were up, but they had a 20-point lead. They had a 20-point lead in the first game. As you see here, they had a 16-point lead for the game going on tonight, and now it's a 9-point lead at the half. So one of the patterns that we saw in these games was that the home teams would be up big and then they would lose it late. And so, certainly, I don't know if that has to do with the rest or what have you, or the, just the inactivity for, being off about a week before you get in. We'll visit that. But before we go there and, take a deeper dive into each series, we got to talk about this guy here. All right. So again, James Harden in Game 7, Clippers against Denver, only 8 points in the game, and he only took 8 shots in the game. So once again, James Harden, who has all the skills and talents that you could like, and unfortunately, given today's climate, and I'm going to use my old man card here, given the softness with which people are graded and categorized these days, he's probably going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Unfortunately, if Carmelo Anthony is a first ballot Hall of Famer, then I would think that Harden would get that. But again, the guy has consistently, when he was with OKC, when he was with Houston, picked the franchise that he's been with on the biggest stages when he was in Philly, and now the guy disappears. He can have a great game, and then he just shrinks, especially in closeout games. Game 7, he has a tendency not to show up. And so, want to talk about this a little bit. What's your view of Harden overall? I don't think he's deserving of a first ballot. I don't know if I put him in on the second or third ballot. I'm saying he may get in, but he hasn't shown me anything that makes him worthy of a first ballot status as a Hall of Famer. But he just has this tendency to shrink, and he just disappears in these big games. And so I'll start with Shawnee. What's your view on Mr. Harden? He played for you guys in Houston. Y'all had a nice squad when he was there. But again, couldn't deliver in the big moments. So what's your view on Mr. Harden overall, and what is and so what's your view overall on and obviously his performance in the series?
Well, I think I don't know how you feel about Dwight Howard. I think Harden may ultimately be a first ballot just because he's currently number 11 on the all-time scoring list. He's one of the most premier scorers the NBA have seen. He's basically all offense. Basically older version of Luka. But Harden has shown to play some defense, especially with Chris Paul. That's the only time I can remember him playing some defense. And probably when he was OKC, but those many years with the Rockets, that's when he basically made his name. He wasn't a defender. Um, as a Rockets fan and watching him in the playoffs, I remember because with the Rockets, it was always that he would tire himself out by the time the playoffs came because the style of offense they ran, they literally gave the ball to Harden pretty much, and Harden would dribble, 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 and then he would make a decision where he would shoot, pass it off, but they were so dependent on Harden. So the excuse back then was, for the first couple of playoff series, his years there at Houston, he was being used too much. That's when they brought backcourt help. That's when Chris Paul came to the team, and then for whatever reason they let him go, and that's when they brought Westbrook. You remember they brought in Dwight Howard before Chris Paul, but then then Harden was like, "Hey, I would like to have some backcourt help," and then that's when Paul came. And yeah, I don't know. Usually, just in the playoffs, man, I still just can't remember that game he had against the Spurs. We only took what, less than 10 shots.
Yeah, well, he
It's
took
just
8 shots in this last game. So
yeah. So he basically followed it up. Man. It's just he's not the number one option with the Clippers. He was the number one option with the Rockets. He was like, okay, what's going on? And I don't really know why he does that because, like I say, it was an excuse for the first couple of years that he was being tired. But he wasn't by himself. He has a better player on the team with Kawhi, and I don't know because this is basically every time they get in the playoffs and then they get in a elimination game. He usually starts off strong within the first 3 games, maybe four. But the first 3 games, he had some strong games. He did the same thing with Philadelphia, and then you just start seeing him. If the series go 5 and keep going, you just start seeing his impact less and less. He may have a strong game one of those games, but it's definitely not going to be in Game 7.
well, is it now? I remember, especially with Houston, you think it's a conditioning issue? Because I know, especially when he was with Philly and with Houston, people would clown him because of his weight. So we talk about Luka. That Harden was basically
that was
Luka
that one
before
year.
he got there. I mean, weight, he coming in not in the best shape. I don't know if he's really dedicated in the offseason to that conditioning and whatnot. Would you hold some of that
Nah,
for his
because
gassing late?
that his weight issue. The only time that was an issue that last year when he was intentionally trying to get himself, traded from the
Mm.
Rockets. Other than that, he always been in good shape, but they just thought he was overused because the ball was always in his hands with the Rockets. It was always in his hands. It's basically how Luka was.
He was
That's why we consider Luka like a Harden 2.0.
he's
So
a
it was,
gunner. Yeah,
but
he's a gunner.
he was a no he was remember he was
He's
a
a
point guard with the
gunner.
Rockets.
He's a gunner. He
He
dribbled
was
too much.
Yeah, the offense started with Harden. He would dribble, dribble, dribble. He'll either shoot his shot or then he'll pass it to an open man. So early playoff years, the people was like giving him the benefit of the doubt that he was being used. That's when he asked for backcourt help. Once backcourt help came, when Chris Paul, you saw the immediate, you know, improvement. So like, oh, okay, this is gonna be good. I still don't know what happened to their year when Chris Paul got hurt because they was playing good. Chris Paul was a catalyst for that.
Mm.
So that year, I give James Harden a pass. Now he was still on the team when they missed 27 3 pointers in a row, but that was the Rockets' offense. I can't really put that on Harden. That was the offense: 3 pointers or at the rim, no mid-range shots.
Mm.
The next season, though, he reverted back. And then they had a healthy Chris Paul, but he still didn't show up. So you seen it, and it's just not with the Rockets. You saw it with the Nets.
Yeah, it's been a pattern. And the sad thing
Yeah.
about this series, 3 of these games, well, 2 of the games was decided by a bucket, and the other game was decided by 3 points. This last game, last shot by Aaron Gordon. We'll talk about him in a minute. But again, the game was there to be had, but he
James
just
Harden
didn't
is
show up.
He's a point shaver, man. He's working for the man. He's working for somebody. He shows up at the game with some old one of these little hood rat Hollywood sluts out there.
Now speaking of now, it's interesting you say that, Coach, because shout out to CJ. He gave us the $5 super chat. So he said he flew out the actress character for Game 7. He literally went home and get trained. So he was scheduled with the Knicks.
Hey,
With the Cakes, yeah.
I'm not surprised about that because Harden was like that in Houston.
But okay, so we can say that Harden, he was lazy. He's a lazy NBA player because
Well,
he got an out of shape body. He got an out of shape body. He
I thought he
parties a
actually
lot.
came in
Sonny,
decent
I know
shape
I know you
this
liked him in
season.
Houston, but he didn't show up then. He faded right when they needed him every time. I think he's working for the man. I'm
Yeah,
telling you,
like I
he's a
said,
guy. Listen,
game
he's a
7.
ball hog.
Yeah,
Well,
He don't have no assists. He just shoot, dribble
remember
to the.
him and Westbrook are close. That's because from
Not
OKC. So
really, because they.
When Westbrook came to the Rockets, he saw it firsthand. He was like, I don't really know if this because the Rockets coddled him. They basically Harden was coming like late to the meetings. They coddled Harden. That's why
mm,
Harden was able to do a whole lot of stuff. And I remember after a bad game in the playoffs, Harden, which he was known for in Houston, he would go to the nightlife. So
He didn't even listen. He didn't even talk to the media after the game. So what
no,
you
he didn't.
talking? He left. He like fuck y'all because he's one of them old.
I don't know what he's doing in LA right now, but I know in Houston,
Wherever he go, that's what he do.
it was no secret that Harden you can potentially
He
find
did it
Harden in the
everywhere.
city of Brooklyn.
Everywhere he went, that's what he did in his
So
show.
you think I don't know what his contract situation is, but you think he stays in L.A.
I would let him go,
next
man.
year,
They already
or
said that they want to build between him and they would like to keep him and Leonard.
keep them together?
I'll let him
We'll
go,
see.
man.
I mean, like I said, he doesn't have a
And I
history
go
of delivering.
young,
So
man.
so
Go
I
young, man. He's too old, man. Get him out of there, man. I go young. That'd be crazy.
I
yeah,
Bring
think
some
yeah.
young studs in there with Kawhi Leonard, man.
I think he
They'll
may be up
win.
for a contract, but I don't think he's gonna get the money that he's looking for though.
That's why I let him go. Shit,
Yeah,
yo.
yeah, yeah. Because they were talking about Supermax back a few years ago with him. I wouldn't have just like Luka. I don't know if I would have paid it for him either. I just don't think. I think you got to be. I think you got to be special. I mean, what we saw with Jokic, certainly in this series. I mean, you got to be on that level to even hint about that.
One thing
But
about Luka, he's just so young. That's his biggest.
1 year
thing.
left on a
He's just
2-year
so
deal.
young.
Yeah. Thanks, Trey. Appreciate that. But let's go again just to the NBA just overall. So again, currently now Celtics up 10, 57-47 over the Knicks. But again, we all saw what happened. They were up 20 in the last game. And certainly we know all that turned out. But again, all these games the home teams had substantial leads. The only one that was the outlier was the Warriors, who still beat the Timberwolves despite Steph going out in the second quarter. So you figure, and they still won. I mean, I know the Warriors fan. I wanted Tommy B. Hopefully he'll show up, talk about the Warriors. But let's start with the big. I wouldn't call this a surprise because I've been calling this out all year. Cleveland is down 0-2 to the Pacers. They had the number 1 seed going into the playoffs. But I said I didn't trust the record. And certainly in this game, they had a lead with less than a minute left, and they just let it get away. Halliburton once again, just as he did in the series with Milwaukee, he delivers the dagger to ice the game, and so Cleveland is they got to put. Now, granted, I know they had 3 of their starters who were out. But again, and obviously, Mitchell, certainly he put 45 plus on them. But Cleveland's in trouble. I mean, is this we talking or is Indiana that good? So we'll start with the coach, and we'll and go to Shawnee. Is it did people oversell Cleveland, or is Indiana that good? And is Halliburton is he now that dude? Go ahead, Coach.
Halliburton, man, he's an interesting player, man. He has a sort of awkward style game, but he's always making the right play, and he's making his team better because he's like a rising little. It's not the traditional style point, point 2 guard, but he's making his team better. And with the Cleveland, listen, man, they had 2 starters and the 6-man, so they had about 50 points over on the sideline. I think Ty Jerome, he blew the game. He was trying too much. Every shot he threw up was short. He threw up about 6 air balls, and so he lost the game for him. And the coach sort of panicked. He should have called timeout. You got to break that rhythm, man. You got to break that rhythm. But they right now going back to Indiana. If they don't win these two, then I see it over in 6. But they got to win these two, though.
Yeah, that's tough. They got to go to Indiana and win that. And again, shout out to Halliburton. I mean, the all the controversy with his dad last week. His dad is not allowed at the home games, but he's locked in. He's not letting the moment get to him, and because a lot of people are calling him overrated, but he's shown up, took the big shot. And what I really liked about that, as well as the Nuggets, we'll talk about that in a minute. Again, taking the big shot, not going for 2. It's like, look, we going for the win, pulling up for the 3 to ice the game. So I mean, that is special, right there. If Harden had a little bit of that, I'd be talking about him differently. But Harden, can you show me some of that? And I haven't seen that certainly in his play. But Shawnee, what's your thoughts on Pacers, Cavaliers, and what do you think is going to be the outcome of this series?
One, I think the Cavaliers are legit, but we was watching the Cavs when they was full strength. They're not at full strength right now, and they playing some good ball, but they just had some late collapse. So, I still don't know how Halliburton was able to get his own rebound off that free throw miss.
A lot of again, fundamentals, no boxing out.
Fundamentals with the inbound pass. That was a complete collapse by the Cavs. I mean, they're still a good team, but they're not at full strength. And when they at full strength, you do see a different Cavs team. But the Pacers are the Pacers. I never took the Pacers lightly. I knew they all offense. Now, last year, they was all offense, low defense. This year, in the regular season, they middle of the pack defense, so their defense stepped up. But their offense was never an issue. I knew they remind me of the Rockets, but they can score better because both teams like to run. They like to run. So that's what the Pacers mean. And I always believe Rick Carlisle was a great head coach. I mean, he was the coach of the Mavs. And I gotta look up some articles and whatnot, but he coached Luka, but I'm trying to see if the two kind of butt heads because the way Luka played, like we just finished talking about James Harden, how the ball sticks in Harden's and Luka's hand. Well, if you watch the Pacers, it moves. They have movement. And I'm trying to remember if that was a thing that the Mavs didn't want to do when they had during the Carlisle era, but it just didn't really show up during when he coached Luka. But yeah, the Pacers, they offense is legit. So they just Indiana. I mean, they don't really have a major personality that would draw media to them. Cleveland.
Well, Halliburton, he might. I mean, I think people are getting the first taste of him. Again, how he handled the situation with his dad. He's very well spoken. And again, he's putting up big shots at the big game. He might be emerging as a star. I wouldn't call him superstar or anything like that. I'm not going to.
He's an all-star right now. He's an all-star.
So. He is definitely because remember he was on the USA squad, but he just didn't play.
He didn't play in time. So
but a lot of but he wasn't complaining. I mean, he was just appreciating.
Got that chip on his shoulder too.
Yeah. And but. It happens with the young and upcoming players when they make it, on a team like that. But a lot of times you make your name in the playoffs. And that's really how Jalen Brunson did it. If you Trae Young, if you show out in the playoffs, if your game show up, people start recognizing you then. They ain't gonna start yelling overrated like Cleveland.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Trae was saying last year he was good. They got to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. But again, I don't know what the overrated came from or why.
They played Joe Boston to the brim, and remember Halliburton was out those last 2 games.
He was
playing. They gave Boston hell. So I was like,
I'll say this though, with the Halliburton situation with his dad, I think that situation has inspired Halliburton to be better. I think he's going to get better. If they don't win this next game, it's over in 4.
Yeah, I think it's a sweep. Yeah,
but I think going into the next season and throughout the playoffs, he's going to continue to get better, and Indiana's going to be some trouble for whoever they play.
For sure. No, they're definitely. So they're basing it on his lack of Olympic play. Wow, you might as well call
Ant-Man. That makes no sense.
Also, because he didn't get a lot of.
But that makes no sense though.
Yeah, for sure. But but he's definitely doing his thing, and so
I think the NBA players, they had a vote, and they voted him as the most his peers.
Oh, they know he's a man. They know he got game.
That's what. Yeah. So. Yeah,
see, the players know. The players and the people on the inside, the fans, they don't know that.
I believe it was voted by his peers that he was over.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
He was an all-star.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Yeah, I'm gonna play Danny Granger. I mean, look, I go back to the Reggie Miller days. They had a couple good nice squads with the Davis boys, and they had the Dutchman, 7-for-4 Dutchman. They almost beat Chicago in Game 7 that year. With I know, but Reggie pushed off. Yes, he pushed off on Jordan, but so what? That was the Jordan rules back then, so I don't care. He deserved one. So he deserves. I'm not. Rick Smits, on that team. Then they had Jalen Rose on that team. They had Chris Mullin on that team. That was a nice squad. Mark Jackson. That was a nice squad back then, and they came. I still remember that game when Reggie hit that shot. You had Larry Bird, Coach Bird's on the side, like blank expression on his face, because it was like, I think it was like 0.7 left on the clock, so he knew that there was still Jordan could still get the shot, and he almost did. He double clutched and put that shot up, and it almost went in. So Jordan, still, they were for sure. Yeah, the Bulls were in a lot of people's way. Orlando, none of those guys were going to get past them. No doubt.
I had some real quick. I just looked it up. It was The Athletic. They did like an anonymous player poll, and Cade Cunningham was voted the most underrated, and Halliburton was
the most
overrated.
That's coming from the players.
Yes, it was anonymous players. They didn't want to put their name on it.
But I can see, because Hallenberg, he didn't start the year off. His year wasn't as strong as it was last year. His year starting off was sort of slow. He averaged like 17, 18 points.
Yeah, this article came out April this year. So it was recent.
At the season start. I don't think he wasn't an all-star. He just
they had a slower start, but once they picked up, and that's when they saw a climb up.
Yeah, as his game picked up, picked up.
Yep, for sure. Just want to quickly touch on again. Celtics are up 18 with 4:17 left in the third quarter. That first game. Look, I'm gonna put this. I'm having a little fun here. I'm gonna clown somebody. I'm gonna put this loss on Poppy Blanco. Shout out to Poppy Blanco. So I follow him on Instagram, and he had a story where, again, Poppy, as you know, he's like the biggest Celtic hater there is. Every time he comes up here, man, my Knicks, man. Nah, you can't beat my Knicks, man. He was wearing a Boston Celtic cap. So I went and I told him, said, look, you trying to jinx us or something? He said, nah, man, you good. So I'm like, I'm blaming that loss on Poppy Blanco with the audacity to wear a Boston Celtics cap. The man never guy says, nah, man, he said he just wanted it to match his shoes, is what he said. I guess he had some green sneakers on, so he needed a green cap, so he wore a Boston Celtics hat. So I put that on Poppy for that loss. But obviously in that game, 63-point shots in the game for the Celtics. Now, I know the three-point shot is a big part of their game. They were 15 of 60 from three-point range, and they still took the game into overtime and just lost the game by just barely lost the game by a bucket. So again, I'm just gonna attribute that to just, again, time off. And it seems like that's what happened with the a lot of these teams. OKC Thunder, again, the same thing. You had this time off, and so I just wanted to raise the question just generally. Do you guys think that is it, these days, is there an advantage to being a top seed and getting all that time off? I mean, their first opening rounds were very easy. OKC swept Memphis. Is 7-8 days off? Is that still too much time would you rather have been the team coming off of a seventh game and keeping the momentum going? Shawnee, what about you? Is it an advantage these days to have that extra time, or is it a liability?
It can be. I mean, if you're talking about 7, 8 days, then yeah, that's a long time, especially in basketball language. That's a long time to be sitting there waiting for like example, like the Timberwolves beating the Lakers in 5, the Warriors beating the Rockets in 7, and Warriors are an older team, so 2 games later they playing game 1. That that time frame, that's obviously an advantage for the T Wolves, even though they didn't win because the 2 teams that was playing. In this case, with the Celtics and the Knicks, because what, who, what the Knicks go to the first round? Did they go to Game
Well, they,
Seven?
no, they, well, no, well, they went to Detroit and won a game
It was
7 in
That
Detroit.
was Game 7. Okay,
yeah, it was game
that
seven.
one,
You're right.
because I was mentioning the T Wolves, they won in 5.
Yeah,
With the
that's what I was
with the
thinking.
Celtics, they did sweep. So in this case, because you literally have one team go the shortest in the playoff, or the other team go the longest in the playoffs, that that gap can show itself at times,
Mm.
But I mean, basketball, when it's all said and done, is still a make or miss league. I mean, you shoot 63 pointers and you
Yeah, but a
got
lot of these teams had leads like going into the fourth. I mean, the Celtics, I think they had like a 14-point lead going into the fourth
well,
quarter. So again, it's like they just ran out of all these teams, these opening round teams. They just ran out of gas. Uh,
Well,
you
yeah,
know,
but it's just like what we was talking about because and it's the first time all the home teams lost the first game in the second round. And if you was watching these games, besides Timberwolves and the Warriors,
yeah, Warriors led pretty much
yeah,
early on and never
the
let
other
Lakers
three,
lead.
the way they ended was like helter skelter. It was like it was just chaos broke in all 3 games. So you can't really count on that to happen. Like we just finished talking about the Cavs, and that was a complete meltdown. You know what I'm saying? So you just mentioned it. Like even though Boston missed all those 3 pointers, they still barely lost. Like barely
Exactly.
but three
Yeah.
points.
Yeah.
So they could have won that game. So I don't think the too long a rest was that major of a factor. It just so happened in 3 of the 4 games the end was just chaos.
Hmm.
And it was just chaos. So you can't really count on that happening because obviously both teams was in the game and just chaos broke and we saw what happened.
Gotcha. Coach, what do you think? Advantage or disadvantage having a long layoff after a sweep or virtual sweep? You come in, you're a little tense, a little tight getting started or what have you, or do you just think it's just that's how the ball bounces? I mean, what do you think of that? If you were
No, it's how the ball bounces.
Hmm.
I think it depends on like we see it with Indiana, right? They sort of didn't playing their best. Now you see them sort of playing at a team higher level and winning those clutch games. Looking at Denver, I was surprised with Denver, right? But then Denver, they players are stepping up. The players that need to step up are stepping up. As far as the layoff, Michael Jordan was off 8, 9 days and shit, and you see what he was doing. So I think it depends
except for
on.
those Pacers. Now the Knicks and
But
Pacers always push Jordan to the.
yeah,
They just
but
couldn't win it though.
what I'm saying for them to play in the championship or play the Knicks out of Pacers, they was off a week or so. You see what I'm saying? So they win the first round. Then the Knicks and Pacers, they going 6 and 7 games. Jordan them used to be off 6, 7, 8 days. And I think if you have a team that's injured, I think a week could do you some good. A team like Boston, they stack top to bottom, so a week off would do all of them some good. This was New York. I don't think is going to have the manpower to beat a team like Boston because
Mm.
Boston can go a few days. They getting better. They healing up. Uh, some teams like I would say who went like Cleveland, they was off for a while. Now you see and they injured. So it all depends, man. If you're a good coach, You give your team the proper rest, and make sure everybody ain't going out hanging out with James Harden and shit. You know what I'm saying? Can't be at the club. Just I don't know, man. Get in shape.
For
Work out.
Dre says he'll take the Knicks and the Wolves. Yeah. So now it's up 12. So again, they were up a minute, like a couple minutes ago. They were up 20. Now they're down 12. So it's 6
Yeah,
seconds
New
left in
York
the
is gonna
third,
climb again.
and so it's like they can make another push. They got to know how to. Bottom line with all these teams, they got to know how to close out. So I was a little bit surprised at the Celtics that again they kept shooting. I know that's their game, but they kept shooting it up there rather than just going to the line, attacking, and getting to the line and try to close out the game. They were still jacking them up, not hitting, and there was no change. But again, all these teams, how they closed out the games was again that was the stunning part. But just moving over to certainly the Thunder and the Nuggets. So again, certainly the Thunder, again, they were up, throughout the game. They're supposed to be, again, another dominant team in the West, particularly to come out the West. But again, shout out to Jokic, just putting them on him, put up a 40-piece with 22 boards. And then again, Aaron Gordon, he ended the series with the Clippers, and then he hits the 3-point shot to win the game here. So again, he's playing with great confidence right now with the stroke. And here it is, Gilchrist Alexander. I mean, is he is he the next, or are they kind of like Cleveland? Are they the kind of the pretenders? With everybody trying to promote this young talent. So what was your thoughts on the Thunder and Nuggets? And again, I got to give shout out to the Nuggets as well. Again, just going into the playoffs, fired their coach who won them a championship with. It seemed like, it looked like it might have been a chaotic situation, but it's like almost like they're playing inspired basketball with this new coach and whatnot. So it's like a breath of fresh air. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if Denver comes out of the West. The way Jokic is playing and Gordon and the other players. So what's your thoughts, Coach, on Denver and how far you think they can go in this playoff run?
I mean, Denver, they could go far. It seemed like, as far as the veteran team, winning the championship, most of the same core. Russell Westbrook is an X factor right now. He can get you 16, 17. You good. The Thunder, their youth showed. It shows in the playoffs bad. You know what I'm saying? And that's the advantage Denver has over OKC. But I think they're going to win this next game because they understand how to play Jokic. He going to get his. They're going to shut down everybody else. But you got to throw bodies at Denver. You have to. I don't understand. And I'll say this and I'll shut up. When you get to the NFL, you got a 12-man roster, right? You should expect
the
NBA. You should expect 10 of your players to be able to get out there and get you 5 to 7 points. Other than that, they shouldn't even be on the damn team. I mean, so if you can get, your starters get theirs, then you can go deep. When you need to see the team ain't meshing so well, you can plug in a few players down the line to sort of change the momentum. But to just play 7 and 8 players, it's only 10, 12 good players solid in the league that is a superstar. So I don't know. The bench plays a great role. Denver got, as far as the bench, I think the benches equal out with the two teams. I think it's going to come down to just the experience of OKC, the lack of experience for OKC and the experience of Denver. So it's going to go 7.
I think
That's
I think Thunder, because remember Holmgren, he's the one who missed those 2 free throws. That's what
Right.
allowed what's the name, Gordon, to hit that game-winning 3-point shot.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he
He could have went for 2, but he went for the 3. That's the thing. I think they were down 1.
They was when his post-game interview, he was saying that
he stepped back into that.
Remember when he got the ball from Westbrook, the lane was crowded. So he just said, man, I actually got the better shot right now for the 3-pointer, so that's why he took the 3. But yeah, that transition 3 would not have happened if Holmgren would have made his free throws, and that probably would have gave OKC the win. So, like I said, those games, Caruso definitely showed up. Um, but yeah, I still think OKC is a great team.
Mm.
They like Indiana because people, but they was just number one seed in the West. But because they're in Oklahoma City, nobody talks about them. They don't have Oklahoma City is like 3 hours above me right now,
Mm.
and you forget that Oklahoma has the state of Oklahoma has a basketball team
Mm.
because they just don't get no media team. I know people talk about Shea, but they talk about Shea, but they don't really know how the Thunder look like on the court per se.
Mm.
If you see them, they can blow a team out. I mean, you saw how they just destroyed Memphis. So that game, you know, now they are playing against the Nuggets, so they ain't gonna blow out the Nuggets. That's a good veteran-led team, and many believe we got the best player in the NBA. The Clippers and Zubac did a fairly good job. I mean, you can't completely stop Jokic, but you can defend him real good, and Zubac did a fairly good job of defending him. Holmgren, you got to put Hartenstein in there. Holmgren, Jokic messing around and push Hogan up to the upper deck. You talking about somebody get their weight up, but
Mm.
that's Hogan's game. He's a lanky dude. I don't really know if he can get that type of weight because he's just lanky. But yeah,
So you're still picking OKC to come out?
oh yeah, I still pick OKC because I know how that team look like when they are clicking, and when that team is clicking, they look like the number one team in the NBA. It's just I don't. Well, he's
So you
I don't
disagree?
know.
Dwight Howard disagrees with you, Sean.
I don't know why Dwight. He's just happy he got into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, first
But
ballot, unfortunately. But I'm sorry. I'm still going to ride on it, man. I'm not feeling that this adjusted scale everybody's on now. Like I said, Harden, they're going to roll out the red carpet for him to get in the Hall of Fame, and I don't know why. I mean, the guy hasn't
It'll
showed up in
be
the big.
because basketball Hall of Fame is easy to get into, but I can imagine if the basketball Hall of Fame voters had the mentality as baseball voters, then you will see. Howard, a lot of personal feelings would have been getting involved in who gets in or when they get in, but basketball they like an open door.
Yeah.
Hey, come on in.
And shout out to that Jimmy Sam Presti's been there for 15 years now. Again, he's fielded some good teams. He still hasn't been able to get
That's
it.
who I want to bring.
He
up.
had Harden, KD, and Westbrook, and they got to the finals and again shrunk there. He's never been able to quite get that team. They went 7 games with the Warriors one year, couldn't get over the hump. So it's he's shot and missed, but he still hasn't been able to deliver. But you can't say that it's not for a lack of talent. He's had some very talented teams.
He put some good teams out there, but they just.
But he still hasn't been able to get the get to even Last time the only time they got to the finals was back in 2012 against the Heat. So moving on to the war right now, Celtics up 16, 84-68 with 8:31 left, certainly in the game. Moving on to the Timberwolves and the Warriors. So again, Steph gets hurt in the second quarter, but certainly the Warriors were able to pull it out again. What happened to Ant-Man? Ant-Man was calling out all the smoke, all the old heads. He had a reputation for quote unquote retiring. He retired LeBron and all these other guys. He wanted to smoke. Very pedestrian. I think he only had 1 or 2 points in the first half. And got some boys. They were really never in the game. Warriors led throughout. So what was your take on Timberwolves? Again, do you think that was just because they did take the Lakers in 5? Do you think that was jitters? I mean, what's your, and then Steph, he has I think a calf strain. And he could be, certainly he's not playing game 2. Now the question is, will he be back by the weekend? That'll be the question when they go back to San Francisco. So what's your thoughts, Shawnee, on, again, the Timberwolves, Ant-Man's performance, and, do you still pick the Timberwolves over the Warriors, or do you think they're going to pull that out as well?
Well, real quick, they're saying Curry's going to be out at least a week. So if you just look at the calendar, he's going to miss potentially maybe 3 games. Well, it depends. He's going to miss game 2 and game 3. But they got that extra game, that extra day when they change cities. So maybe he can make it by game 4. But yeah, that's a thing. But I I'm not I'm not worrying about Edwards. I mean, I'm not. He's gonna get his. He's had a bad game, but that also gives credit to the defense of the Warriors.
Yeah, they've had the top defense in the NBA
Yeah,
since they got Jimmy Butler. So I mean, they don't have the size, but they get in they're getting the boards. I mean, it's.
yeah. They what I'm looking at more is the Timberwolves defense because that show you how good the young Rockets defense was versus the Warriors. They were making them work the whole series. Way that the way the Timberwolves, you saw the Warriors, they was able to move the ball easier, even without Curry. Even after Curry left, they was just moving the ball easier, and that's why that lead just started, just going up and up and up. But I'm as far as Edwards, he's going to get his, but now it depends on everybody else. 'Cause remember, versus the Lakers, it was Rudy Gobert. He was, you don't really expect an offensive
Yeah, he was
explosion from him.
dominant, no question.
But
He was definitely.
I think Looney. 'Cause I think the Warriors found something versus the Rockets because they was having issues with the Rockets' size, especially in the paint with Adams and Sengun. And then when Looney came out there, he was able to help counteract some of that. So I think they found something. Now you're starting to see Looney playing a little bit more minutes. So I think Looney could lean on Gobert a little bit, and Gobert is not going to be able to dominate the boards like he did versus the Lakers.
Yeah.
So like they always say, basketball is all about matchups. So game 1 went to the Warriors.
Now
Game two,
before you move on, first of all, I can see the look on Mandrell's face right now. I'm going to ask your patience, sir, as we deal with these female sports for just a little segment longer before we get into the topics that you came on to talk about. But again, first of all, welcome to the show. But I get to see the look on his face. It's like, we are going to be over this. We understand. That's why I told you to come on in the second hour. So we wouldn't bore you with this stuff. So I just want to get coaches.
playoff
I
basketball.
just want to get. Let me just get coaches. Let me just get coaches' take.
Basketball over yet?
Let me just get coaches' take.
One thing about basketball, they do have the longest postseason. They postseason.
Yeah.
Long.
Yeah, for sure. Coach, what's your thoughts again on Warriors and Timberwolves? Again, Steph's going to be out for significant games, but again, they still pulled the win. Was that just a slip up by the Timberwolves, or do you think that the Warriors they still live with or without Steph?
Yeah, before I go, man, we let non-athletes come up here talking crazy. But anyway,
I'm still
with the I don't know, Steph, man, that's 25 to 35 points a game, man. That's hard to replace that on any level. He's the heart and soul of the team. We know that. This is where Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green and everybody else going to have to earn their money. They still have enough. Kaminga he's still playing a little timid. If he comes around in Minnesota, and man, he's done his talking now. He's gonna have to just prove that he's one of the best. He's gonna have to do it now because the Warriors are down. He's gonna have to take over. He's making commercials and talking a little cocky out here making baby mamas. So he's gonna have to go and shut the Warriors down. Now the Warriors could make it 7 games, or they could beat the Timberwolves because again, Gobert is not really a factor with Golden State. And because Draymond Green is shooting 3-pointers, he ain't down low like
Yeah, he's scoring. Yeah, he
So
picked it up. I gave it to him.
he's an ex. They just have to go smaller and to have a chance against Golden State. They just got to go smaller, and Jimmy Butler have to get 25 to 30.
Which he
until Steph
can,
comes back.
which he can do. No question. He's shown that in the past. So definitely looking forward to that. Celtics up 84-72 with 6.5 minutes left in the game. We'll see if they can certainly hang on to it. But let's move into let's move into boxing. While Mandrell's here, we'll just get right into it. So again, over the past 2 weekends, we've had, in my view,
Where do you go? Don't go anywhere.
we've had
Mandrell, hold up. Turn your mic up.
yeah, you a little garbled.
Hold on a second. How about now? Can you hear me?
Keep going.
It sounds a little muffled still.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
And
it's
about
not
now?
super.
Better? Any
Sound-
better?
Sound like
I
you
mean, it
fought-
works. We can hear you. It's just it's not as rich and voluminous as it normally is.
Oh, Jesus, what's going on with my mic there? Hold on.
Right. Well, while you work on that, let me move quickly to the football topic.
Okay,
And
football. I can talk football with you.
Okay. So again, I wouldn't call this a blockbuster trade, but certainly the Steelers have traded George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys. So this might have been that big move. Jerry was promising a big move during the draft. Didn't happen in the draft, but Pickens has been dealt to the Dallas Cowboys for a 3rd-round pick. And then also, I think the Steelers get a 5th-round pick, and I think they give Dallas a 6th or 7th-round pick or something like that in 2027. So definitely a shakeup. Initially it was thought that I was looking forward to seeing what DJ Metcalf and Pickens can do together as a duo. But I think certainly with the uncertainty in Pittsburgh in terms of quarterback, you don't know if Aaron Rodgers is coming or not. Do you want to go with Mason Rudolph or even the new guy Will Howard? So again, there's a lot of uncertainty there in Pittsburgh. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews on the move. Some people, with Pickens, his sometimes he's not always present in games. He does a lot of childish stuff or whatnot, and so again, they might have thought, well, let's get premium for him. So again, to get a 3rd-round pick for next year, they got 12 picks in next year's draft, and so the rumor is that they're gonna try to take some of those picks, move up in the draft, and try to get one of the quarterbacks that's supposed to be a better quarterback class next year. And again, some people would still say Shador was there in round 4 or even 5, and no one they didn't take him, and to see whether or not they're going to regret that in the future. But that being said, so Shawnee, since you're the Dallas guy, your thoughts on the acquisition of Pickens, and so you're going to have him with CeeDee Lamb. And with the Dak's healthy, that's not a bad. That I think Dallas has upgraded. I'll give it that. But what's your thoughts on the move? What's the vibe in Dallas that with George Pickens is going to wear the star?
I can't give a opinion yet on the vibe just because I haven't listened to the local radio stations as of yet. But I'm pretty. It's an upgrade, because compared to the receivers that we had before the trade, it's definitely an upgrade. Me personally, I recognize Pickens' talent, but I know, some other stuff come with it, mentality. But we kind of look at it up here like, okay, he didn't really have a QB really throwing him the ball. I mean, it was just musical chairs or the QB that was actually throwing him the ball. So he's going to have a legit NFL quarterback in Dak. I mean, you can't say he's a great NFL quarterback, but he is a legit NFL QB. So that would definitely help out Dak because he don't have to focus so much on Lamb because that's how Dak was getting a lot of his interceptions last year. He kept trying to force it to Lamb. So now you have another receiver, another threat on the other side that he can, get the ball to. Now I was talking to somebody earlier. They was trying to compare Pickens' personality or his basically to Dez Bryant, and I was like, nah. Pickens, and you mentioned Mr. Bennett, like Pickens, if he don't get the ball, you gonna know, and he gonna basically do something, maybe potentially kind of piss off the whole team. Like everybody gonna feel it.
Right.
Dez Bryant didn't really do anything in a selfish manner. He was more passionate. If Dez didn't really get the ball, he didn't really complain like that. Like we didn't see it up here, but he was passionate. I remember that, that one video that people saw him getting on Romo. They thought he was chewing Romo out, but when the actual video came out, he was actually encouraging Romo. So Dez was always passionate. You just saw his passion on the sidelines at times. But he wasn't up here, at least up here locally. He wasn't really doing anything to really hurt the team, But Pickens, as what we see on TV, you probably can speak more onto it better because you follow him. Up in Pittsburgh, we saw him, throwing his tantrums, and then when he really wasn't getting his way, you saw the team kind of getting frustrated with him per se. Now, that don't say the team wasn't really getting always frustrated with Des Bryant because I can remember. Jason Witten was a leader on the team, but him and Bryant had a good relationship though. So, it basically the Cowboys are not strangers to strong personalities. Um, Maybe Pickens probably career wise, he may get better numbers, so he may not be as the image that precedes him that he developed in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So it's an improvement. That's all we're looking at now. It's definitely an improvement. The rest is going to be determined when they get on the field. They didn't really address the receiver like that. 'Cause I thought potentially Golden had a chance to come be in a Cowboy because they could have drafted him, but I had no problem with them addressing the trenches. So they did that, and then they made a move to. Man, look like Nick's coming back.
Yeah, it's a ball game. Five. I'm looking at it. Five. It's a 5-point lead.
Is Poppy wearing that?
He must be. He must have found something or whatever. So he's wearing it. Again, the Celtics 10 out of 40 from 3-point range. So again, jacking up the threes, not hitting 25%, just like in the first game. And again, pattern. Jason Tatum's only 4 out of 16 from the field. So again, he's kind of coming up small here in these games also. So now it's a 4-point lead with 2:43 left in the game. So again, it's not looking good for my Celtics at this point. So but I'll try to stay as focused as I can on the show as this is going on. But yeah, certainly it's a contest, and the Knicks
real quick because I'm looking at these comments and I'm saying I guess JC. When I was talking about the Cowboys,
typical
Cowboys fan. I'm like, what did I say that was delusional? I didn't say I wasn't expecting them to win this year. I just said it was an obvious improvement based on the receivers they had in the room last year.
That's the delusion that they.
No. See again. Listen,
wait, can y'all get me better now?
Oh yeah, we can hear you a little better. That's a little
yeah,
better.
you sound
we
better.
can.
You sound better.
Okay.
With Dallas, that's probably one of the best trades they made in years.
Well, it's the Amari Cooper trade.
Here's the pitch, but Mr. Bennett, your Pittsburgh Steelers, they might not win. They should have kept both receivers. Dallas, they just did what.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen
letting him go. No, it's gonna be terrible.
They did get a third-round pick for him, which I was surprised the Cowboys.
Yeah, but
they
still,
value their picks.
Dallas is in a position to win right now with that trade. They got a running back. If Dak comes back healthy,
I'm not 100% confident in their running game. But Mr. Bennett, my whole thing with Pittsburgh
it's messed up right there.
Is they are literally, because the dude gave no signs yet of signing, but they are literally putting all their chips. In the hands of Aaron Rodgers. He has not come out and said, I'm going to sign with you or not. I know we were talking about Sanders in the draft. Man. I thought if there was a team that needed a quarterback, it was them. And okay, Sanders could just sit back. He'd be a backup if you.
Well, I was thinking the Saints. I thought the Saints needed him more because again, Derek Carr's going to be out, and they passed on him.
All of teams needed a quarterback. All of it, even the Cowboys.
That's my thing. Hold on. If I may interject, Sean, I apologize. I agree with Coach. There are a lot of teams in the NFL that needed at least a decent quarterback.
Yeah.
And I agree with Coach when he said earlier, Mr. Bennett, this is 100% about his dad. 100%. It's had nothing to do with the kid, okay? Because let's be honest, when Deion was in the league, he would tell you what he's gonna do, how he's gonna do it, where he's gonna do it at, when he's gonna do it, and dared you to stop him, but you couldn't. Remember, he was taking away when it comes to the passing. No one would even throw in that half of the field. In a lot of those games, he would take away a whole half. You had to operate on the opposite side of Deion Sanders when it comes to passing. Okay, but it got to that point where no one would even take the chance of even throwing on that half of the field. And so he talk his talk, and he walk his walk, and there's nothing anyone can do to stop him. You know what I mean? And then, he would negotiate. He got to the point where he negotiated his own deals when he went to Dallas. You know what I mean? He did whatever he wanted because he was just that kind of athlete, unstoppable, pretty much at his position.
Right.
And so, you know what I'm saying? Some people don't like that. They don't like it when you're confident. You know what I'm saying? They think he's arrogant. He's not arrogant if he's actually backing it up.
Yeah, he's just.
But here's my thing: is if you're that dude, though, there have been athletes that have been chosen that had. I mean, again, Johnny Manziel and the Baker Mayfield. I mean, these guys have video recording drunken on the streets, disorderly conduct or whatever. If they think you're that guy, they're gonna draft you.
Mr.
I mean,
Bennett.
Shador is not the
Mr. Bennett,
athlete that his father was.
Stop it, Mr. Bennett, stop it.
He wasn't.
But here's the thing,
Stop
Mr.
it.
Bennett. It's not about if they have the power to do something or humble you in some way, they'll do that. And that's what this was. They just want to take his father down a notch. It had nothing to do with Shador because Shador is nowhere near as flashy or brash and open like his dad was. Y'all remember Neon Dion? Dion was hot stuff.
But he was that dude though.
But no,
Right.
Mr.
Dion
Bennett,
was that
stop
dude
it.
though.
I think Pittsburgh should have drafted him.
They
I wouldn't
needed
mind
him.
if they did. I would not have minded if they
Pittsburgh-
did.
Yeah, I agree with Shawnee. Pittsburgh needed
Every
a
team in the
quarterback.
first round that needed a quarterback outside of the number one pick should have drafted him.
Yeah,
Every
and
team.
so it got to the point where it's obvious that there are tons of teams out there that need a quarterback. You mean to tell me none of you going to draft Sanders?
Well, I put it like
This
this.
can't be about a
a
skill because he's proven it on the field. You know what I mean? We know he's a good player. Is he? Because he's not the athlete his dad was. His dad played professional
Nobody
baseball.
in the NFL in the last 30 years was the athlete Deion Sanders was. What are we
Exactly.
talking about?
Exactly, because Deion
Nobody.
played two professional sports:
Who
baseball
we talking
and
about?
football.
I don't even
You know what
think
I'm saying?
if there was an athlete that could do that, they wouldn't do it because they wouldn't be
They
allowed
could- they
to
can't.
make so much more money.
They can't.
said, nah, he-
They can't take it. They
My
soft
whole-
today. What you talking about?
Deion would break
my whole
records
thing
coming into the
because-
season halfway into season.
And Mr. Bennett,
You know what I'm saying?
let's be clear, Mr. Bennett. When we look at Johnny Manziel and Baker Mayfield, they was out in the streets drunken. Shador, he don't be out in the streets like that. He
Oh, I
first-
agree. Look, I think
But
both
they
ends
went
could be-
in the first round though.
They were Heisman Trophy winners and number one overall
First
selections.
round pick. He ain't even get drafted in the first
I-
round, second round. That makes no sense.
I think a couple things could be true at once. Knicks are actually up 87-86 with 139 left in the game. Celtics are coming apart once again. And again, the curse of Poppy Blanco. Thank you very much, sir. You put the hex on my team, and it's looking like we're gonna have a repeat here. So again, I'm gonna have he's gonna have some explaining to do next time I see him. But let's in the last segment of the show. Let's talk about some boxing. The
right.
reason why we got Mr. Mandrell here. So again, the last couple of weeks, we've had, in my view, we've had some bookends on the boxing. So again, the week before in UK, you had Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank, Jr.
Oh my God.
Great fight. I mean, there was a lot of people were down in Conor Benn, moving up essentially 2 weight classes to fight Eubank, even though he's older, but he's clearly the bigger man. And again, a heck of a fight. They kind of left it. Both of them left it in the ring. Mandrell, I don't know how you scored. I know it was a unanimous decision win for Eubank. I thought the fight was a lot closer. Again, it could have been a 7-5 thing. You could have flipped it either way. I thought that Conor, I think, was in control of the fight, maybe up until like the last last 2 rounds. I thought he hurt Eubanks quite a bit. But couldn't quite get the knockout blow or couldn't put the combination together to really change the tide of the fight. Eubanks certainly scored late, and I think that kind of iced the fight. But I thought the fight was a lot closer than the scorecard, and I could have saw a split decision or whatnot. But I thought Conor Benn, if anything, I thought he acquitted himself, given all the controversy with the testing positive for substances, even though a lot of stuff was overturned. But nevertheless, Nick's up 2. I thought that he acquitted himself, and he's actually in a better position now with a loss than he was with a win. So, what was your take on the Ben Eubanks fight? And then I want to jump ahead to the bookend that just played this past Monday, and then we will talk about the debacle with the DAZN
this
fight.
past weekend.
Yeah.
Look, because there's two things I want to address while we're on the subject of boxing. Okay, but I'll stick with Eubanks and Ben. First of all, I had Eubanks winning this fight. I did, but I got to tell you, this is one of the Shawnee. I don't know why you don't follow boxing, man. You missed it again. You did. You missed it, dude. This was one of the. He's selling it short, Mr. Bennett. Come on, Mr. Bennett. Name a fight apart from Spence and.
Well, see, here's the thing.
Hold on. Apart from Spence and Crawford, name a better fight in the past 20 years. This was one of them fights where they leave it all. Shawnee, it was a fight. It was a fight, Shawnee. They went at each other, okay? And they didn't let up. Now, I agree with Mr. Bennett that the scorecards, I thought it was a closer fight than that, too. I really did. You know what I mean? I think that Eubanks, he won. I think he won. I thought he won. I did.
Mm-hmm.
But was it as far away as the scorecards would lead you to believe? No. It's just, I think putting all that weight on, it got to Ben, and he ran into the stamina issue in I say that about the 10th round. Halfway through going into the 10th round, the stamina got to him. The extra weight, carrying the extra weight for that long, got to him, and he, even with that, Shawnee, the guy fought his heart out. He didn't back down. He didn't give up. It's just, if you ain't got no gas, you got no more gas. You know what I'm saying? But that's one of them Rocky Balboa, Apollo Creed joints.
How much rounds did the fight go to?
It went to 12 rounds.
It went to 12 rounds.
Went on Sunday, and they just beat the shit out of each other. I'm not kidding. Ask Mr. Bennett. They beat the shit out of each other.
That boxing is the most frustrating sport in that, again, you're going to have those fights like that keep you engaged for the next 6 months. Because you'd be looking for, okay, let me get another one. Let's get another one. And we did get another one. So, again, on Monday, you had the monster, Inoue.
I'm telling you, man. I've been telling you
again, the guy
he
fought, he had a mean left hook and a nice counter shot, put Inoue down. But the guy just keeps getting up, and he just wears these guys down. I mean, you can hit him, but the guy's like, now that's like Rocky. He just keeps coming, and I think he just breaks your will because it's like, man, I hit this guy, but I hit this guy with everything I had, and I still couldn't take him out. So after a while, you'd be like, man, you just undefeated. You're just defeated because he just takes he takes your will. And then he comes back and he just pummels you. So again, I think now. Do you think right now, Mandrell? I think Inoue is pound for pound. I think right at this point right now, I say he's the best. He's pound for pound best in the world right now. I can't say Tank anymore. I can't say again because he fights.
Tank. Yeah, I never thought it was Tank though.
Right, I'm just saying. But when we talk about the best, you talk about Tank. You talk about obviously the heavyweight champion. You talk about him. You talk
Usyk.
about. Usyk, right, and obviously you talk about Crawford, but again, Crawford fights so infrequently that it's kind of hard to keep him in the conversation. But in a way, he just kind of keeps coming in, keeps giving good performances. Yes, you may knock him down or what have you, but again, he's an entertaining fighter. He's always going to bring the fight to you. It's highly skilled, and again, he just brings the entertainment. He's the only thing that's keeping Top Rank viable as a body right now. is in a way, but in a way, Top Rank would be out of business. But
I'm telling you, man. But that's Bob Arum's own fucking fault.
Though, right?
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Not after August. That's all I want to bring up. That and there's another fight I want to bring up and ask Mr. Bennett his opinion on this fighter. Okay, but yeah, you're right. But it's Bob Arum's own fault. Bob Arum, listen. He doesn't know how to manage fighters. He doesn't know how to make big fights. He doesn't make all his big historical fights. Don King made those. Okay. What big fight did the biggest fight in modern history, Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr. He didn't want to make the fight.
Yeah.
Terrence Crawford had the
Didn't know what he had.
It just didn't know what it's like that all the time. He wants things to be streamlined and boring. He doesn't want the excitement, but he doesn't understand that the excitement is what brings people to watch the fights. People want to see the best fight the best. Don't you, Shawnee?
Yeah.
Don't you, Coach? Coach, don't you want to see the best fight the best? Yeah, thank you. Okay, Bob Arum has what's my man's name? He's also from Ukraine. The Matrix.
Oh, Lomachenko. But again, he's past his prime.
I know Lomachenko's long in the tooth, but he still got the goods. Okay, he still got the goods. And look at his career. Look at what Bob Arum did with that guy's career. He shot all over it, and it's his fighter. Okay, this is why I'm glad Turki Al-Sheikh is coming in. He's made it known he wants to take over boxing. I don't feel sorry for any of these promoters, not even Eddie Hearn. Okay, I don't feel sorry for Eddie Hearn with Matchroom. I don't feel sorry for Queensbury. I don't feel sorry for any of them. Okay, and fuck Top Rank. All right, and Bob.
Yeah, that's like the last of the dinosaurs. So John King is essentially out of boxing, and I think Top Rank, that's the one of the last of the dinosaurs to certainly go from boxing off.
But this Eubank fight, Eubank and Conor Benn, like I said, Shawnee, this is the fight you pay your money to see. It wasn't even a title fight. Okay, no one's fighting for a title. No one's fighting. This was for honor. It really was. Like their fathers were rivals back in the day. You know what I'm saying? And they went at each other. They fought. They fought brilliant fights too. Now Eubank Sr. did beat Ben's father, right? And here you have this next generation. They're going to, and before the fight, they were talking mad noise. Eubank Sr. was talking about, was talking about how he didn't like the way his son was behaving, and he didn't support that and stuff like that. So people thought that Eubank Sr. didn't support his son. But when Fight Night came on, and they was playing that Tina Turner song, Simply the Best, and then Eubank Sr. came out with his son, I mean, I stood up in my chair. I stood up in my chair. I really did. Literally stood up in my chair. I was like, oh, because it's a father-son moment. And I like to see that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like black father supporting his son like that. Even though he may disagree with some of his son's behavior, he never left his side. And they get in the ring, man, and they really do. It was about honor, fellas. They beat the shit out of each other, man. Yeah. That was bad blood. This is just
their fathers fought back in the 90s, and obviously the sons bringing that same energy as well. So again, great fight, great in Britain. If they do I don't think he's going to hang around for a rematch. I know they signed a rematch clause. I don't think him being 2 weight classes up, I don't think that's good for him. I think he needs to go down. There's a lot of action because again, all these guys are now moving to the zone. So Bruce Ennis is on the zone. There's a lot of fights that could be made at 147, 154, and he can certainly go. Now again, I think if he fights Eubanks again, they might fill Wembley with that. But again, I don't think that's good for him to carry that weight long term. He's just not. He's just not the bigger man.
Yeah, he's not. It's an unnatural weight for him right now to carry. That's why he, like I said, going into the 10th round, you can see him kind of start slowing down in the 9th. Like in the second half of the night, 10th round started. That's when you really started to see the stamina issues. How they carrying all that weight, that extra weight. Now they would fought in Tottenham Stadium this time, but I think they'd sell out Wembley if they did.
They would, but I don't think going for that. I mean, from an economic, that could be big, but I think his career might be extended. And again, there's a lot of fights, 147, 154. There's a lot of fights, even Golden Boy Promotions with Eddie Hearn, the staple of fighters he has. There's a lot of action that can still be had. And unfortunately, we got to move to the middle. Okay, and this is why, again, I'm mixed on. I know Turk Al-Sheikh, he's putting a lot of money into boxing, but that debacle in New York. So over the weekend, they had a fight card in the middle of Times Square. Right, so Times Square, New York.
We know.
I got to talk about it because you're talking about the eyes are taking over boxing, but again, he's putting on. That was a circus. So boxing gets us in its own way. In that, yes, you can have those great fights like Inoue and the great fight like with Conor Benn in Eubanks, but then they give you this trash in the middle. Now for $90, they charge $90 for this card. So you got Canelo Alvarez, who fought in Saudi Arabia, and you had the three welterweights. Devin Haney, You had
Yeah.
Teofimo Lopez, and you had
you had,
I call him Lion Garcia is what I call him. He's not Ryan Garcia. I call him Lion Garcia.
There's two of these I want to take. I don't Lopez. He's not as good as people say he is. I think he's more hype. He is good, but I think he's more hype than anything else. But that the other two, Garcia and Haney, Mr. Bennett.
I listen. The Garcia one's a little more explainable to me. I mean, again, the man got busted for the Ostarine,
right?
And I don't think he was. And you lose to Rolly Romero, who is like, look, I don't mean to be funny about it, but the guy's like one punch short of being punch drunk. I mean, the guy doesn't have any real boxing skills at all. That should have been for an average night. That should have been a guy you should have taken out very easily. And you get, first of all, you get knocked down by him, and you don't throw any punches in the fight. So again, to lose to Rolly of all people at that level is inexcusable.
And so he got dropped by
he got dropped. Absolutely. And then Devin Haney runs. I mean, I would, as a judge, I can't. I'm sorry. I'm kind of like, I would mark a fighter down if you run. If you're not, they said that was one of the lowest punch outputs of any fight in years. And I'm sorry, I'm marking you down. If the guy's chasing you around, he never lands on you. But if he's chasing you, I'm of the thought that, again, if you're not going to engage, I'm taking away points from you. And I just thought that
boxers aren't punished if they just like they obviously.
No, it's not. I mean, it's the only guy I ever saw got punished for running around was Oscar De La Hoya against Felix Trinidad. Again, De La Hoya had the fight in the bag, and the last 4 or 5 rounds, all he did was run, and they gave it to Trinidad at the end. But very seldom do you see a situation like that. But I wouldn't have scored a lot of those rounds for Haney for the fact that he just didn't want to engage. Yeah. So again, and plus the fact that it's in Manhattan. So again, typically you have the ring walk coming out to the ring. These guys are showing up in these limo buses from their hotels or whatnot to get into this ring. It was a circus atmosphere. So again, I'm thinking as a fighter, yes, you don't have the crowd. It seemed like there was more like a sparring session than it was an actual fight with major implications, because they were trying to set up Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia for a rematch. Well, that's out the window now. And quite frankly, who wants to see any one of those fighters fight? I don't even want to necessarily see Teofimo fight any of those guys either. Maybe you might want to get him in there with Shakur Stevenson and see what those two guys can do.
I don't think Stevenson is interested in that fight.
Again, the fact that they're on his own, if Sheik's going to put the money out, I mean, Sheik is going to put the money for the fight that he wants to see. So if he puts $20 million out there, those guys will fight. That's one thing I will give him credit for. It's not going to be any objections in terms of who he's able to match up in the ring. Mm-hmm. The question is the fight going to be competitive or not? And I just don't think so with those fighters. They're defensive-minded fighters. They're not exciting like that. The only guy I want to see right now, I want to see Boots Ennis. You put Boots Ennis and Conor Benn, that's going to sell, and you can put that fight anywhere. That might sell out Wembley if you put that fight on at 147 or 154. And so that's what I want to see coming up. I think Boots is clearly the class of the division, and I would certainly want to get him certainly give him the opportunity to be the face of the zone and the face of that company.
Be the face of the zone.
Boots Ennis.
No, you don't. You don't
listen. First of all, listen. If you can, first of all, Canelo, I don't want to see Canelo fight anymore. Quite frankly, he's done. So the only guy you got left is Crawford, but Crawford's is going to be almost 40 years old.
Well,
so he can't be the face of your division company going forward.
Crawford is on his way out. He's at the tail end of his career.
So you got Crawford and you have Boots. Boots is the young guy. Crawford, he has 1 or 2 fights left, maybe, and I don't think he wants to fight Boots. And so I just don't think that's going to be, So again, he's going to be the face of boxing if they continue to give him the good matches. But I think him and Conor Benn, you can put that on now, and I think that'll do huge numbers.
It would, but it's unfortunate because I get it, and you are correct in a lot of ways here, because all the great ones, the ones that are in the great category, they're They're on their way out. Like even Usyk, heavyweight champion of the world. You know, I would say make him the face of it, but who's left for him? Who's going to beat him in the heavyweight division? Nobody.
Well, listen, I would love to see him with a
would love
rematch
to
with the
see him.
current champ. With the current champ, I
What
think
current
he's
champ?
the other British guy.
You loved him when he fought AJ. How come you can't say his name now?
I'm having a I'm old. That's why I'm having a brain freeze. So that's my Gen X coming up. But again, I thought he fought well against. I thought he fought well against Usyk the first time. I think he's definitely grown as a fighter since then, and I think he's earned the right to a rematch with Usyk for the undisputed title.
Well, he's holding
this time
Usyk's
around.
belt for him, so Usyk has to go get it back.
Correct. So again, I think that's going to be a very competitive fight.
No,
But
it's not. Usyk's going to do the same thing to him. Well, I would say the same thing to him that he did to Tyson Fury, but he's going to whoop his ass. He can't.
we'll see.
He can't.
We'll see. We'll see.
He can't. Listen.
He did the best against Usyk. He was the only guy who was competitive against Usyk in the last 3-4 years.
No, the first fight with Tyson Fury, that was a competitive fight against Usyk. Okay, now I know Usyk got off on him in the ninth round. I mean, clobbered him. If you remember that, you know what I'm saying, clobbered him and rocked him. And I told you that the ref should have let him go ahead and finish him off. You know, but you're like, no, he can give him standing. I know that, Mr. Bennett. I know that the ref can do that, but someone comes in to save Tyson Fury from getting his ass whooped, just like in that first fight with Wilder. Tyson Fury lost that fight.
Yeah, he did.
He lost that first fight with Wilder. And then this one with Usyk, they try to save him again, and then he gets in there and embarrasses himself against the MMA fighter. What's his name? Now I'm drawing a blank. My Gen X.
Oh, Ngannou.
Yeah, Francis Ngannou.
See, I can remember Ngannou, but I can't remember the brother.
Yeah, right. Exactly, the British
point.
brother. Now here's the thing. Okay, a British fight that will make numbers since Fury is coming back will be him and Joshua. That will sell out Wembley. That's the fight everybody's been waiting for the past 8 years. Shout out to Tommy B over there. Give me 1 minute now. Give me 1 minute because now.
Yeah, and we're gonna close out the show with certainly with my man Dante. Glad you're ready to make it up, sir. Yes, definitely got to get your commentary on the Cowboys. And for Tommy B, I got to get your comments obviously on the Warriors up 1-0 in their series as well. So you'll be our closeouts. But go ahead, man, Joe.
Yeah. Okay. One thing I want to address: Ben Whitaker. Oh, okay. Yeah. The closeout that what we were talking about before. We had not this past weekend, but the weekend before, fantastic fights. We had Eubank Jr. versus Conor Ben.
Mm-hmm.
Again, they beat the shit out of each other. Dante, Shawnee, look that fight up. Watch it. You're welcome, by the way, in advance. You're welcome. That was Rocky and Apollo Creed.
No question.
They beat the. That's a movie. That's a game. That's a fight you pay your money to see. A fight. Okay. Okay. Then you had Inoue. You had Inoue fighting on Monday, which is brilliant, by the way. That's my guy. Inoue. Now, Ben Whitaker. Okay, is he still on fraud alert for you?
No, who's this now?
Ben Whitaker. Because he fought Cameroon. They had the rematch. He had just had the rematch of Cameroon. Okay, this is the same weekend that we had great boxing. Okay, not this past weekend, but the weekend before that, we had great boxing. Okay, this week was ass. I mean, Devin Haney.
Yeah, it was
borderline. You should be.
Like I said, the bookends of the weekend were Inoue and Eubank and Conor, and that's it. So
Haney, he's on fraud alert for me. Whitaker was on fraud alert. He still kind of is. I just don't think he's there yet. Ben Whitaker, if y'all don't know who that is, he's one that because I know you've seen the highlights. He's the guy you've seen on TikTok and Instagram Shorts or whatever. Not Instagram Shorts, but probably on Instagram, but on what you call that, YouTube Shorts or whatever. He's the boxer that's in there. You know what I'm saying? They're showing a slow motion how he's dodging these punches. You know what I'm saying? And he's like doing a drunken style like that.
He got a social media presence.
Yeah, he's the one that does that drunken boxing style, and he's just clowning people in the ring. That's Ben Whitaker, the guy doing that. Mm. He's a very young, up-and-coming boxer. He has really been clowning the people he's fighting. But here's the thing. He wins a title, right? Shawnee, Dante, what title did I tell you was the most competitive? And cannot be bought? And they fold for no one? The IBF. That's the title that he wins. Uh-oh. What happens his next fight when he wins that IBF title? Pop, 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 pop.
We'll see.
We'll
see.
And look, here's the thing. That fight, the first fight he did with Cameroon, like Cameroon, they tied up, they lock up in the cage, right, Mr. Bennett? And then they're up against the ropes, but then you can see Ben Whitaker lean back and he flips himself and brings Cameroon over with him over the ropes. So everyone says, yeah, he gave up. I personally believe he did too, because he was losing that fight. I told you the IBF title is the most competitive because the best are going to fight the best. You are going to fight tough competition under that title, period. That's why a lot of boxers don't even bother with it. And then when they get it, they drop it. They don't have the heart for it. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, this time he had the rematch with Cameroon. He wins in the second round with a second round stoppage. I think that he's at least I hope he's learned the lesson that being fast is not enough. Fast and agile and athletic being fast is not enough. I don't think he has the knockout power to carry that title long term. That's me. But anyway, fraud alert or not, Mr. Bennett, what do you think?
I'm still processing that. Let me get back to you on that one.
Not a problem. Right. Let me know, because even if they call
me, we'll chop it up on that. And we, like I said, we certainly have a boxing segment dedicated to that. But want to get these guys in here. So again, Tommy B, certainly follow him. Tommy B Reacts TV. Make sure you follow his YouTube channel. And,
I see Tommy B finally starting to do content.
But definitely, he does good. He's good when he's on. I appreciate when he's on. No question. But Tommy B, I want to give you the floor. First of all, shout out to Poppy Blanco once again for cursing my Boston Celtics. Once again, they lost tonight, 91-90. Again, same issue again. Poppy wearing that Boston Celtics cap. He put the kibosh on my team, and we're in this funk right now. So again, shout out to Poppy. He set this up. But I want to give Tommy the floor if he's there. Talk about your Warriors. Talk about Steph. What are you hearing out there in Oakland, San Francisco, regarding him, his health, and just where the Warriors are? They stole Game 1, and where do you see this series going? Floor is yours if you got something to say.
Yeah, they man, I just watched the end of that game. This has got to be. It's just nuts. I mean, from the amount of game winners we've seen to every game being, one possession games, this got to be like top 3 best playoffs ever.
Yeah,
but
it's been very intense.
So from what I'm hearing, it's a grade 1 sprain of the hamstring, which they're saying best case scenario is a week off. But I think a lot of people didn't understand when Jimmy Butler came over, we had the number 1 defense. Mm-hmm. One thing everybody does with Golden State is they overlook the defense. Because the offense is the shiny thing, everybody overlooks the defense. And so when we go into these playoffs, the first thing everybody's talking about is the firepower we don't have. But you're not paying attention to the fact that we're holding Houston to under 100 points in multiple games. We held Minnesota first game to under 100 points. I don't even think they scored 90.
Right.
And so I think that gives us a chance without Steph. A lot of what they're doing is holding the ball. They're not getting a shot up until it's under 10 seconds under the shot clock, which limits the turnovers because Minnesota feeds off of your turnovers. Same thing with Houston. The same thing we did to Houston. They feed off your turn. They couldn't score on us in the half court. Minnesota, they struggled with our zone yesterday. I think some of it was some rust, but I think some of it was we're not the Lakers defense. Like the Lakers play more of a they play more off you because they got taller, longer guys that's not quicker. We got guys that's gonna be up on you. So, Ant-Man gonna have to fight to get that rock, and then, we got GP2 pestering him. We got a lot of bodies to throw at him.
But did you expect him to only have like 1 point in the first half, though?
No, I didn't expect it, but I mean, of course, I didn't expect that. That's why I said I will say some rust. I'm not gonna give all the credit to to the defense because of who Ant-Man is. And clearly, we saw in the second half he started kind of figuring some of the stuff out.
Right.
But I just think that defense has always been underrated. Every time we won a championship, we've had a top 2 or 3 defense, if not the best defense in the league.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people kind of, like we was having a conversation before with most defensive players, if they're elite of the elite on defense, they're not held as high regard as the top offensive player.
Mhm.
And a lot of times, if you're all offense, no defense, you're still looked at as this great player. If you're all defense and no offense, you're almost looked at as a bum a lot of times.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that's why our defense is overlooked a lot. So I think it's a rough hill to climb because a lot of the space that Steph gives you, that's gone.
Right.
So a lot of them wide open shots that Buddy gets, a lot of the spacing that Draymond kind of benefits from and stuff like that, that's gone now. But I think, Steve Kerr's shown time and time again, man, that, he can coach his ass off. He went 12 deep last game. Got some good minutes from Kuminga, even though as soon as he came in, he messed up and showed why he didn't play last series.
Right.
But
Looney
he
came
got
in and
some
gave
good
you big
minutes out of
minutes,
him.
though.
Looney came in and gave some great minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, literally everybody came in off the bench gave good minutes. Even to my guy Pat, trying to remember his last name, but he literally looks like the white guy at the YMCA.
We'll see.
Yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about. Those are the type of people I don't like to play. I don't even like to. First of all, we went 3-1 on them without Jimmy Butler. First of all, so where was that 55 during the season if that's just gonna be so easy for them? Again, casual fans, but anyway.
Oh.
But yeah, so I think it's gonna be an interesting series. I think it's been crazy that literally not one home team has won a game.
Right.
I think it's crazy that the 1 and 2 seed in the East is 0-4 right now.
Right.
Like this is a wacky playoff,
Very
and
much
then
so.
to see the way that Denver ended up winning, the way that the Pacers ended up winning, the way that the Celtics won tonight. I mean, lost tonight. Like it's in literally last play of the game, almost every game in these playoffs. It's insane.
Well, it's also. Do you think it's a conditioning issue? I asked the question earlier in the show because all these teams had 7-8 days off. Easy first rounds and whatnot. They come in, they had big leads. All these teams had double-digit leads going well into the third, into the fourth quarter. Celtics were up 12 at the beginning of the fourth in both of their games, and it's just like at the end they just hit a wall.
I think for the Eastern Conference, no disrespect, but y'all had bye weeks. Like it just is what it is. Like Miami without Jimmy Butler, like who really thought they was going? I mean, come on, man. And then even if you look at OKC with Memphis, they got lucky. Ja Morant got hurt, or that would have went longer than it would have went. You know what I'm saying? So I think that I used to talk about this a while ago. It's like the curse of having an easy first opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Is you kind of get smacked in the mouth when you got to play real, whether it's basketball, football, whatever. When you got to play a real team next, it's almost a shell shock to you. So
what I think all these teams currently right now they division rivals. Pacers and Cavs they play each other at least 6 or 7 times in the regular season, at least 6 times. So they know each other. Same thing right now with the Knicks and the Celtics. Same thing currently right now with OKC and Denver. So these teams, they play each other a lot. So I think that familiarity, because we definitely say that about football. But basketball, I think right now, we seeing that as well because they familiar. Cause I believe the Pacers had the winning record versus the Cavs. I think they were 6-1 versus the Cavs in the regular season. So they show you they can hang. I think the Cavs.
But I think it's a mix with the Cavs too, because they got some serious injuries. Like Garland,
they do. Yeah, they had their 3 starters were out this past game.
Yeah, so that's super. I mean, we got to get over Steph. They got to get over 3 starters. Like I ain't gonna lie, I was almost impressed. Well, I think Indiana kind of saw that they was out 3 starters and kind of relaxed, and that's how they ended up with that 20-point lead. And then they just kind of got serious, and that's how they got back because. You miss 3 starters. I don't care what team you got. You miss 3 starters, man. In the playoffs, it's almost impossible for you to win.
Yeah. Shout out to CJ. Just want to acknowledge the super chats. Follow super chat. A lot of people hate Draymond, but their small ball scheme only works for him because at the 5, he's a defensive and playmaking wizard at 6'6", 240. Yeah. I mean, I think. No
But I
question.
disagree with Tommy on that one, though. You can't be missing 3 starters and win, too. You just have to not suck. Or, even better, don't play basketball. Do something, play a real sport. You can try that out.
No. Man, if you talking about the regular season, maybe. When you talking about the playoffs, the elite of the elite, and you talking about having to play the exact same team 4, 5, 6 times in a row in 1 week, that's almost impossible to have 3 starters out just because of the talent that is going to be there. You're not going to tell me you got 3 people on your bench that's going to match 3 people in my starting lineup in the playoffs. If that's the case, I shouldn't even be in the playoffs.
It does happen. Just saying.
It does happen, but that's why I said, like, the reason why I think that the Pacers or why the Cavs took that lead was because I think the Pacers saw they was out 3 starters and was like, shit, free game. And the Cavs came out there and they played their ass off. But what I'm saying is to kind of prove my point, they cut that 20-point lead down and it ended up with the win.
Yeah.
If the Cavs have starters,
yeah, it's these swings that have gotten me. Like if it's nip and tuck the entire game is one thing, but again, you got double-digit 20-point leads. Celtics were up 20 tonight, and still couldn't close them out. So yeah. I mean, something is definitely these series are competitive, and again, Denver. I think right now, to me, I think they're the live dog to get out the West. I mean, obviously, Jokic is being Jokic. He's putting up 40 pieces and 20 rebound games. Gordon is ended the Clippers series and certainly won game 1 with 3-pointer at the end. So he's playing with great confidence right now. So again, Denver, to me, they're the live dog coming out the West right now. So it wouldn't surprise me at all, especially given the turmoil at the end of the season, firing their coach. Got a new coach, seemed like they got a totally new attitude, and they're playing with confidence right now. So, but I want to turn it over to Dante. Thank you for coming in tonight. Certainly, I want to get your comments. You can talk about the NBA, or you can talk about obviously the big news out of Big D. Obviously, that certainly George Pickens of the Steelers is now a Dallas Cowboy, teamed up with CeeDee Lamb, and you guys gave up a 3rd-round pick. So, what are your thoughts on the trade? And what do you think? How does this help Dallas for this coming season? And and for you and Shawnee, what's going on with Micah Parsons? We still haven't heard anything yet about the contract, man. So was Jerry cooking to keep Parsons on the team right now? So anyway, you want to take that, Dante?
Well, I'll take it real quick because my internet is still down. So I got like probably cut me off in the middle of this. So I'll be quick. Props to them for that. I'll say I'll give them a B+ for the move, just because it is a bit of a gamble. But if it does work out, it'll be fine. And unfortunately, the Bengals set the standard that you do pay 2 guys big money. So, we'll work out. We'll get to that bridge when we cross it. He already said that he's going to play under the deal to earn it. I'll say as far as Micah Parsons, they just dragged their feet and cost themselves more money. And he's going to drag his feet until they take 2 steps forward and 5 steps back. They're going to let TJ Watt get his deal done, or somebody else, some other edge rusher, and then come July, August, they'll get a deal done for $53 million a year or something like that. So that's the one thing I appreciate them this offseason, acting like a real front office, Jerry and Steven, and making moves for guys that are undervalued and making those plays and getting that, and with the solid draft. So I was like, I give them props for that. I will say, Cowboy fans, please help me out. Be excited about it, because we've been doom and gloom, but don't say the phrase that they always say we say, please don't make us look bad. So please don't make us look bad. I won't even repeat it. If you know, you know. But yeah, it's okay to be, my thing is I'm even being happy about it today. I'll go back to being pessimistic tomorrow, and then I'll close out real quick. That was a sad performance from my Lakers. That a lot, excuse my language, a lot of shit's got to change. So they took my dream away of another Warriors-Lakers series, and they gotta get some guys with some more dogs, and they gotta get some bigs, man.
Jesus, yeah, I don't like, queer sports like basketball, but even I know better. Listen, the best thing to come out of California as a whole, shout out to Tommy V, is Ryan Coogler and Tommy V. I mean, because why are you a Lakers fan?
My pops was a Lakers fan, and he predated the Mavericks, so it was like he rooted for both, but I wasn't about to root for both. It was like when I went to a game as a Mavericks, and I got a plaque for the best player on the team, and it was Chris Gatlin. And I'm like, and I was like, Chris Gatlin, and then you traded Jason Kidd. I'm like, nah, bro. Nah.
Oh my God, dude.
Man.
No disrespect. Respectfully, Chris Gatlin, respectfully. But it's just like that's the marquee player. Like you don't have anybody else that is and of course we got smoked, I think, by the Warriors. And it was just like, golly, it's just like, bro, the 90s were so bad. Like, I respect anybody. And I'll tell this about Mavericks fans.
Jason Kidd. Shout out to him.
We did it. Then we traded him. And I was happy about
it.
The commercial was, we got Jamal, Jim Jackson, and Jason Kidd. And then you traded them. Yeah, I'm going to jump off the band. Like, and a lot of Mavericks fans, they'll say MFFL. They'll say it before the Luka trade, but they were rooting for the Bulls in the 90s. They were rooting for the Bulls in the 90s, and then when they got Dirk, they didn't believe in Dirk, and when they saw it, then it was like, okay, you were a fan then on, you got like 12, 13 years of success. So it's we always been no, you wasn't. Tell the truth.
Dante, you in Texas. Y'all bandwagon heaven, so we get it. Niggas Spurs, Mavericks, Rockets fans, whoever winning, they jumping on there. They do that college, all that shit.
I ain't gonna lie. It's some people that'll do that. I remember going to school with people and they were mad the Cowboys were losing. And I look up and I'm like, who your favorite team? And I'm like, hey, man, it's the team in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but I thought Dallas was like a transplant city. Like Dallas has people from all over the country there. It's like a metro.
It's a transplant city, but growing up, it was still coming that. It's a lot of people that were from here, and it's like you just mad at the Cowboys and pissed off. Like I literally saw people get mad at the Cowboys and switch to another team, and it was just like I ain't switching up. That's why I say it's an outlier with them. But the only outside team I root for is the Lakers. I'm Stars. I don't do a hockey like that, but Stars, Rangers, Cowboys, everything else is local. Hell, Wings. So it's just like other people that do that. I don't get on as much because I root for one out of town team, but it's just like some of y'all are just, I ain't gonna lie, some of y'all fanhood is real suckerish. I don't see you a sucker.
I ain't gonna lie, Dante. That hat and that t-shirt combo is you got one more team on there, boy. And I'm looking at you away, boy. If I see anywhere, boy. If I see a Yankee anything around you, boy, we're going.
Probably had a Cleveland Indians shit on.
All right, guys, we're gonna wrap up the show. Any final comments as we come to the end? First of all, I want to thank everybody for certainly being on the show tonight. Thanks to the chat. Thanks to CJ for the super chats. Always appreciate your support. Just as you leave the show tonight, make sure you hit the like button as you leave. But I just want to go around and give people an opportunity to close out any final thoughts. Certainly on the NFL, the NBA, the Kentucky Derby, anything that's that's on your mind as you close out the show. I'll start with Shawnee and I'll wrap it around. Again, quick, 1 minute. You know, your final thought for the show as we close out. Want to end on time. Go ahead, Shawnee.
I was proud of my Rockets. I was always feeling like that this playoffs they just need to gain experience. That's why I was not tripping when they didn't make a move to trade that line to give them before, because I wanted to see them how they will play in the playoffs, and they played fairly good. All of them except Jalen Green. Now Jalen Green, it's one thing to put a bad like. After Sengun had a bad Game 7, but Sengun's points was the main reason why they was able to get to Game 7. Green, outside of Game 2, Green played timid basketball. I mean, he was not looking for his shot. He's supposed to be one of the two best players on the team, and he got scared. He shied away, and that's one thing. Like you're supposed to be one of the two better players on the team. And not you just didn't have a bad.
Maybe if he got focused, he'd have gave us 55.
And there's folks in the Houston area. We looking at Green like, okay, you just didn't show up at all. I know we was talking about Harden earlier. Green pulled a Harden, but for 6 out of 7 games. Mm-hmm. You know, so it was bad.
Gotcha. Mandrell, final thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. Listen. Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. That is easily number 1 or number 2.
Probably fight of your candidate for sure.
It's definitely fight of the year. Like I don't see anything beating that except maybe Crawford and what's the Canelo? Yeah. Which is I'm not expecting much from that.
September 12th. So the fight is set. September 12th.
Yes.
Is I think Mexican Independence weekend typically is around that time. So I'm put it this way. I'm definitely much more enthused about the fight now than I was before going into it, because I think Canelo is he's on his last legs, man.
He's coasting, and he's doing fights for paychecks now. He's not fighting for glory or respect or anything like that. And I think that'll be his downfall. He's gonna fuck around and lose to a smaller man. You know what I'm saying? Now his thing, Crawford is way too smart. His ring IQ way too high. His skill level way too high. And Canelo's gonna go in there and think he's gonna body him. He thinks he's gonna outmuscle him. And Crawford's gonna put it on his ass.
Crawford's a strong dude, man.
Yes, he is.
Deadlifting 400 at his body weight. I mean, the guy, he's no joke. But let me get Tommy in here.
One last thing.
Oh yeah, one last thing. Go ahead.
Like I was about to say, if you guys did not watch Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn, okay, YouTube it, get the zone, whatever. If you have the zone and you ain't see it, shame on you, for one. Number two, YouTube it, look at it, try to find a full fight, because that was the best fight in the past 25, 30 years probably. That was a fucking fight. They beat the shit out of each other for 12 rounds. Each other. So it wasn't just a big one-sided thing. No, they beat the shit. We had some good fights these past couple of years, but that one's it's easily number one and number two. But thanks for having me.
Appreciate you as always. And coming up in the future, we're gonna have. I want to get back to the dream matchups. So again, I want to certainly bring those up. I had a couple of them. You weren't here, and I had a couple of them for you. I want you to think about. But certainly we'll look to bring that topic back up as well.
Okay.
But Tommy, any closing thoughts before we end the show?
Yeah. If your height starts with a 5, you can't speak on basketball, man. You got to stop that. We get why you feel that way. It's okay, man.
Hey, I suck at basketball. I admit it. You know what I'm saying? I always have.
And I don't know if that was a super chat, but dude pretty much calling Pat Spencer a backup second string point guard is hilarious when we got Brandon Brzezinski and GP2 both in front of him. And I mean, if he gets 2 minutes on the court, that's a blessing. But anyways, I'm just looking. Did y'all end up getting back into Shedeur or not?
We touched on it briefly. We gave folks that because we ran it. We talked about so much on the last show. We kind of start the show with it when guys want to get on. But yeah, I mean, any final thoughts? I know you were very articulate and certainly in your positions last time. Anything you want to close out with?
I even had my boy House of Hypocrites. He posted on his community tab the accuracy of Shedeur, right? And he was number 1 out of 10 quarterbacks. You know what the other 9 quarterbacks was? Ass cheeks. I can go give you the names. 9 out of 10, because we can't count Shedeur yet, was straight ass. Brandon Weeden was on that list. You want to throw your hands up again, Coach Ferg? Brandon Weeden was on that list. Is that the company you want to be part of? Brandon Weeden. Is that what you want to hang your hat on? Like, y'all got to relax, dog. Like, I forget. Hold on. I think Colt McCoy, was on that list.
Tommy, I appreciate you proving my point, what I've been saying the whole time.
What's that?
That Shedeur, his percentage, his completion is top notch. That's all they got to
No, count. I don't think nobody ever argued that. But like I said, when I seen that list, it literally almost made the case of why he didn't get picked. Because every other quarterback that was as accurate around that time was ass in the NFL. And I mean I'm gonna send y'all that list. I promise you.
Yeah, drop it in the drop it in your IG. I want to see it too.
I'm like all 9.
Yeah.
So
but I'm saying what I'm saying is, if that's what you're hanging your hat on, because what do NFL? What do they do in the NFL? They compare you to other players, right? So if you're gonna hang your hat on, I'm the most accurate quarterbacks. Okay, let's look at the other accurate quarterbacks in college football.
But that's college.
Okay, so then you're even more making my point. Then you shouldn't even be talking about his accuracy because it's
the point that I was making that is if he's a young quarterback, if he can read defenses in the NFL, he'll be a star. You can't compare college and NFL. They already had their time compared to the NFL starters.
Quarterback that's ever been created.
But
Like,
that's what I'm saying. Compared to the NFL starters, he's still in the top 10 right now.
All right, Coach, you're gonna get the last point. We really got to jump off. But again, if you guys want to again mop this up again, Tommy comes guns barreling. So if y'all want to get into this one more time, or kind of end this for
I
good,
missed it 'cause I came in late. So
we can certainly do it then. But Coach, as always, you close out the show tonight, and we'll get out of here.
No, real quick, man. It's springtime, man. Get in shape. If you're boxing, playing basketball, lifting weights, playing a little football, it's a great time, man, to get outside, man, and shed about 10 pounds and look a little sexy for the summer atmosphere. But yeah, man, so sports is winding down. NBA teams is playing good ball, hockey. I think a good boxing match is coming up real soon. But man, in the meantime, between time, you as the individual, man, just get in a little shape, man. Make yourself feel a little better, look a little better. Get your vitals checked. Go to your doctor's appointments and all that shit, man. I'm trying. I hope y'all get old and ugly like me. So.
I heard that. Well, again, thank you all once again for joining us on the show. So for myself, Mr. Bennett, for Tommy B Reacts, again, make sure you go follow his page, Mandrell. You got a YouTube channel also.
Yeah, I wanted to announce that. Yeah, I am coming back. First show of this year will be next week.
And the name of your channel again, please.
The Big Picture. The
Big Picture with Mandrell. Make sure you follow him. Coach and I, we're actually going to be having a show on the Sparta HQ Network. It's called Next Gen Training. That show premieres on Thursday, May 22nd at 9:30. So again, looking forward to that show, talking about again training for adolescents and just some life lessons that we can certainly pass on to the next generation. So definitely look forward to that show on the Sparta HQ Network. Again, Next Gen Training. And young adults too. Young adults too. Anybody can get it. Certainly on that, but certainly look forward to that. And certainly Shawnee, as always, our man Dante, who's in the building tonight as well. Again, thank you all for joining us once again. Enjoy the rest of the playoffs. Thank you, Papi Blanco, again rocking that Celtics hat. You put the hex on us, so it's going to take a great effort to get the hex off my Celtics and whatnot. And just getting out of Boston, it might be the best thing for us in order to get over that. So hopefully we can turn this thing around and we'll have something to talk about next week. But until next time, you guys, enjoy the rest of your week. Take care. God bless. And we will see you next time. Good night.